artsy companions, and welcome to this week's bit of a different video. I've talked about it the whole October and now already half of November, but this challenge is a big thing in the online art community, and so I'm just one of millions who cannot shut up about it. Today I'll finally talk in depth about my Inktober experience and show you the process of each and every one of my paintings for that crazy month. Well, Inktober. I think most of you are familiar with the challenge, but I know that some of my viewers might have never heard of it, so here's the text from the official website. Jake Parker created Inktober in 2009 as a challenge to improve his inking skills and develop positive drawing habits. It has since grown into a worldwide endeavor with thousands of artists taking on the challenge every year. There are rules, but they are rather easy. First, make a drawing in ink. Second, post it. Third, hashtag it with Inktober and then the current year. Fourth, repeat. Yeah, that's basically it. Every year there's an official list of 31 words that function as a prompt for each drawing. But since 2009 many things have changed, and so it's not only ink anymore, but all kinds of media, be it traditional, digital or even photography. Also, many artists come up with their own prompt lists, and yeah, the whole thing just evolved into an annual event over the last decade, and this year it has taken over my October as well. But let's start at the beginning. On September 8th, Maggie alias McMinty posted her Inktober prompt list with the altered name Mintober to fit her brand. I saw the post, but I didn't think much of it. Well, yeah, it's September. Everyone is already going crazy about Inktober. It's something I witnessed for several years now. I myself had attempted to do it in 2018, but failed after only getting 2 paintings done. This year I wasn't even planning to participate. I mean, I had managed to finish at least 1 painting every week in 2020, but 31 paintings in just 1 month? Nope, that would never happen. Not with my job and all, I just don't have the time for that. September went by and then I got my nails done properly for the first time on the 22nd. What does that have to do with Inktober? Bear with me, please. The nail artist extended my already long bony fingers with some majestic claws and I felt witchy as ready for the spooky season. I don't know why or how it came, but I revisited Maggie's Instagram and took a closer look at her prompt list around these days. I had thoughts like, those words aren't too abstract. I could come up with an idea for at least 3/4 of them, I guess. Yeah, well, other than the official list, this one isn't that intimidating. But I would need an overall theme, wouldn't I, to make it a cohesive series? 8 more days passed. I was sitting at my dentist's office, staring at my claws, when I finally decided that I would do Inktober. And I would paint hands. With that, the perhaps busiest time of my year started. I went from the dentist straight to the nearby art supply store and bought 2 A5 binders of Canson mixed media paper, each containing 15 pages. When I got home, I took Maggie's list and my notebook and wrote down a rough idea for every painting alongside small thumbnail sketches. At this point, I decided to only use black ink. My overall goal was to create something that occurs in the natural world, but still kind of moves between being realistic and fantastical for each prompt. Then I put up my small vlogging camera in front of a white wall and took photos of my hands. I'm not a hand model, and some of these poses were rather hard to achieve, but I have to applaud myself for getting almost every photo I needed right on that day. Since I'm not an expert in painting monochromatic, I grayscaled the pictures and edited them slightly so the highlights and shadows came out nice and clear. I would need some good references. That's what I knew straight from the beginning. Next, and I'm sure that this step might stir some controversy among artists, I printed the photos and used my lightbox to transfer the outlines of the hands to my paper. Simply to save time and avoid certain frustration. Seems like cheating, huh? Yeah, just straight up tracing from the photos. Well, you can think whatever you want, but consider that I only made my life a little easier by tracing just the bare outlines. I still had to sketch the props and, obviously, paint the whole thing. After tracing the outlines for every piece, I was at the stage at which things got serious. Inktober would start the day after tomorrow, so I had to at least get the first prompt done until then. I also figured that it would be the best to paint all in the order of the prompts anyways, so that I wouldn't end up in a time crunch and just could work off a list, which Inktober basically is. A list. Congratulations! You made it to the part of the video when I finally start talking about the actual painting. First of all, I have to make a confession. Well, it's rather a fact, I guess, because I'm sure that many Inktober participants can relate. I didn't paint every single day. I have a part-time job, people. Painting a detailed piece of art those days of the week, that's impossible, at least for me. Instead, I used every bit of my free time to get as much done as I could. My record is 5 paintings in one day, whereby all of them were on the easier part of the scale, I have to admit. The first one, Bat, was an immediate success for me personally. Despite some try and error in the sketching phase, this one went so well that I felt kind of a rush after finishing it. I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me, because it put my motivation through the roof right from the beginning. And this motivation was very needed because not every one of these paintings came as natural to me as the first one. I had some troubles with at least half of them. Every time there was an actual light source in the picture, like the moon on day 4, the lantern one day later, or the candles on day 18, it took me forever to figure out where the light would hit and whether or not I should attempt a somewhat glowing effect around them. For some days, like the 12th, Secret, or 25th, Nightmare, I found my sketches to be too boring, but couldn't come up with a more interesting idea. I resketched the cat prompt for day 23 at least 3 times before I decided to take the hand from day 22, flip it horizontally, and put a cat skull in it. Some days I got the shading done beautifully, giving the piece a soft look, but on others I felt like a clumsy kid, using too much black and putting the ink down in weird blocks. But despite all, and that was more important to me than painting a perfect work of art every day, I wouldn't take one piece of paper out of these binders to start over. Once I made my first brush stroke, this would be it. I figured that I would struggle to get 31 paintings done, but I knew for sure that I would never be able to finish the challenge by starting over every second one of them. I had to accept my mistakes and try to fix them immediately, instead of throwing everything in the trash. I'm also a very impatient person, so there's nothing more excruciating to me than having to do something I wasn't pleased with all over again. It's always better done than perfect. Or like the wise man's truthless says, aim for 70 instead of 100% of perfect, because the answer to whether you can achieve 100% is almost always no. But if you say you can make it to 70%, the answer is usually yes, which means that it's enough to begin with. I don't know if that's a good trait to have as an artist, but it definitely helps me to get stuff done instead of starting several projects, never finishing them, or worse, never start them at all. I can proudly say that I managed to finish all my paintings until the 21st of October. Now, in hindsight, I would even claim that the painting process wasn't the hardest part at all. Those of you who follow me on Instagram know that I posted a 1-minute time-lapse video of the painting process alongside every piece every day. It was also the first time that I did a proper hashtag research and really engaged with all the participants and people who liked and commented my submissions. Ask Hannes, he would tell you that I was pretty much glued to my phone for several hours in the evenings. It's exhausting, you guys. I understand just now why people with bigger followings can't always answer comments or even have to take these cheesy, big announced social media breaks once in a while. I was liking, commenting and sharing art that was posted with all the hashtags that I used as well. But as irritating as this might sound, I still had a lot of fun. I discovered a lot of like-minded, awesome artists and even gained some new, lovely followers who really care for what I'm doing. I'm still figuring out this whole social media thing, so I can't say much about it at this point. I just can assure you that participating in a thing like Inktober gives you a whole other perspective on those things. Be it appreciation or dismissal is wholly up to you. I enjoyed doing Inktober a lot. I proved, and I had to only to myself really, to be a hardworking and achieving artist. I created a series of beautiful paintings and found some online friends. Would I do it again? Well, I'm still feeling pretty hangover after that crazy month, so at this point I'd rather say no. But who knows what I'm up to next year, right? I hope I could give you some good insight of my Inktober process so that you can draw something from it. Keep in mind that it's just my perspective on things and that you might have a complete different experience. Definitely tell me in the comments what you think about challenges like Inktober. Subscribe to my channel and also don't forget to follow me on Instagram for pictures of finished artwork, sketches and fun journal stuff. You can also find a pin board with all the references I used for my Inktober paintings on my Pinterest profile. This, as well as the official Inktober website, McMinty's Instagram profile and the video of Struthless I took wisdom from will be linked in the description box down below. Yeah, and that's all. Thanks for watching and see you next week. Bye!